All right, B30, this is meeting number 26, and we're moving on to Act 2, Scene 2, Reenactment. And so that's on page 95 in your books. Now, it's a very long scene, so I'm going to just focus on the main parts. And but it's important that you do read the scene because there's a lot of transitions going on here. And it sets up the climax of the play. And if you remember a climax, the pyramid, we're on the rising action part here right now. So it's leading up to the peak of the story, or the climax, and where everything comes to a head. Okay, so we have the king, King Claudius, welcoming Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, buddies of Hamlet, at least that's the perception. And Queen Gertrude's there to greet them as well and say, "Oh, it's so good you both can come to Elsinore Castle to find out what's troubling my son." Look, his dad died. Now we know he was murdered, but he died. 2 months later, you get married to Claudius. Don't you see a connection there? Anyways, I guess you can't. So the queen says, "Oh, it's great that you can find out what's going on." And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, well, they're total brown nosers. Yo, we're happy to be here. We're happy to serve you and all that kind of stuff. So let us know what you need. Okay, we're here for you 24/7. Okay, and of course the king and the queen know that they're now brown nosing. So, so we get the thanks Rosencrantz and gentle Guildenstern for the king, and then the queen says thanks Guildenstern and gentle Rosencrantz. So I guess they got the guys mixed up, but whatever. In their minds, they're one and the same, so it doesn't matter. They don't really care who's who, as long as they find out what's going on with Hamlet. Okay, so they leave, and then Polonius comes in, and he's like, "Okay, the ambassadors of Norway returned." Because remember, King Claudius had sent a note back in Act 1, Scene 2, that bragging about the fact that, hey, we kicked your butts, so you keep that in mind. Don't you dare attempt to invade us or retaliate or whatever the case, because we're ready for it. Okay, and so Polonius says we need to go speak to the ambassadors, find out what the response from Norway was, and said okay. But before we do that, I have found why Hamlet is acting the way he is. And they refer to it at line 49, Hamlet's lunacy, which means crazy. So the very cause. And the king says, "That'd be great. I'd like to know that." You should know. You killed his dad. Okay, so what else could it be? Oh yeah, you married his mother. What else could it be? Okay, but Claudius must think it's something else. Okay, there's no way that Hamlet knows that I murdered his father, my brother. Okay, no. So, anyways, the king says to Gertrude, "Hey, sweetheart, Polonius has found out why Hamlet is acting the way he is." And Gertrude was, "Oh, that's great, but I think he's upset because his father died, and we had a hasty marriage there." And I said, "Well, we will question him closely and find out whether that is the actual reason, but maybe it's something else." Yeah, right. Okay, so we thought we were going to get some more information, but then Voltimand and Cornelius, the two guys that were sent to Norway, they pop in and they said, "Oh, most greetings and okay, we did everything you wanted. We let Norway know what Denmark's resolve and so on and so forth, and so Denmark or Norway says they're not going to bother with Denmark and so on and so forth. So, oh, that's great. We don't have it, and we don't have to worry about having another war with Norway and stuff like that. We'll see. Okay, so now it's done. And oh, well, he lets Cornelius and Boldman get some rest and get some food too. So thanks for heading over to Norway. All right, so Polonius says, okay, good, that's done. Now here's what's happening. So it's, and Polonius, he gets into the brown-nosing mode as well, and you know, hey, I do all this stuff. I keep myself informed and to serve you, my king, and so on and so forth, and queen as well. And just so you know, I'm here to serve you. And of course, the queen says, just get to the point, okay? So Polonius finally gets into it, and he reads a love letter from Hamlet to Ophelia. It's like allowing somebody to read your diary out loud. Like, no consideration for Ophelia's privacy or anything like that. And you know, diaries are personal, and to have it read in public like this, or in this fashion, and to be interrogated and took apart, misconceived, misinterpreted, whatever word you want to use, it's embarrassing to Ophelia. And so he reads a portion of the diary on page 101, and lines 115 to 124. And it's like, in the movie, Ophelia is present for this. Now, in this version, there's no mention of her being present, but still, it's an invasion of privacy here. So the king says, has she received his love? Like, does she have feelings for Hamlet? And so yeah, she does have feelings for him, but the way Hamlet has written this piece or this letter to Ophelia, it's uncharacteristic of how a prince should behave, and we can't allow that. And so Queen says, well, maybe that is the reason why Hamlet's acting weird, is because his love has been spurned. And so maybe it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that my previous husband died and the fact that I've remarried and so on and so forth. Yeah, right. Okay, so so then they come up with a plan that they're going to observe Hamlet and his reaction to Ophelia, and just see whether or not that theory is correct, whether it is spurned love. Now, there are two meanings for mad love. That's what they call it. Hamlet's version is undying love. It's cherished, and you know, because he does love Ophelia. Polonius's definition for love is madness. It's inappropriate, especially with the fact that Hamlet is a prince and Ophelia isn't anywhere near royalty of any kind. So it already devalues Ophelia as a potential wife to Hamlet. So, and plus Polonius doesn't get the chance to, or the opportunity to choose a husband for Ophelia. So it's part of that possessive nature that Polonius has. So the king and Polonius decide that they're going to spy on the conversation, and then they'll know for sure. Okay, so that's the plan. And then they see Hamlet walking, and he's reading a book, and so Polonius says, well, I'll just have a conversation with him and just see how he's doing, and just kind of add a little more to my report. So he goes and talks to Hamlet, and of course Hamlet doesn't like Polonius at all. He knows that he's got his nose into everybody's business, and so there's no respect there. Polonius could be a great guy if he would just keep his nose out of people's business. And so Hamlet mocks Polonius, but does it in a, I guess, if you want to say crazy behavior. He knows the type of character Polonius is. He knows that anything that Hamlet says or does will be reported to the king right away. So he has to perform as silly and in a mocking manner, so that Polonius can't get anything else on him. And so there's a few times where Polonius steps aside and we listen in. So, like for line 204 to 206, he says, through this be madness, yet there's method in it. So he's mad, but there's method there. So there's it's like he knows he's mad, and everything he says and does is there's a strategy to it. What that is, I don't know why or how or whatever. And so I intend to find out. So I'm going to ask him a few more questions. Why not? And of course, every time Ophelia is mentioned, it just irks Polonius. Like, quit talking about my daughter. You have no right to talk about my daughter. And then all of a sudden, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern show up, and it's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Of course, Hamlet's like, hi. Why are you here? For one thing, they went to school together in Wittenberg, but they're not like best buds. They're just schoolmates. And so they ask how he's doing, and he says in line 243, Denmark's a prison. Okay, and in essence, it is a prison for him, and because of all the stuff that's been going on. And so then he refers to dreams, that dreams are a shadow of some other event or activity or situation in our life. And we'll get into more about dreams in Act 3 later, when Hamlet has his big or most popular soliloquy, to be or not to be speech. And so then, they're just kind of acting not normal, I guess. And so Hamlet right away just flat out says, why are you here? Who sent for you? And so they finally admit that the king sent for him to find out what's going, find out why he's acting the way he is, and so on and so forth. So he kind of accepts part of that explanation, but he still knows that they're sent to spy on him, and so is Polonius. So Hamlet has to keep up his resolve, the path that he's on to help his father be free from purgatory. So then these our performers show up to do a play at Elsinore's castle, and so Hamlet decides that he's going to use the play to affirm his path, that what he's doing, what he believes he's doing, is the right path, and the play is going to be the ticket. It's going to prove that if Claudius reacts to the play in the way that he thinks he's going to react, he's going to change a few lines to make it sound very similar to the story that the ghost shared. And if he reacts in the way he does, then yes, he's on the right path. If Claudius does not react to it, then it's just a dream. It's just something I'm going to forget about, and I'm just going to move on. Okay, so we're going to find out about that and see what happens. Now, I do have a third soliloquy, lines 545 to 603, and it's more about he gives credit to the performer, that he has more guts to perform on the spot than Hamlet does to follow through with this revenge factor. So he needs to get himself back on track, and how he's going to do it, the play is going to be the thing, as he says in line 602 to 603, where I'll catch the conscience of the king. Okay, so that's Act 2, Scene 2, and the end of Act 2. Take care.